The conditions are in clear violation of the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums' own code of ethics, which states, exhibits must be of such size and volume as to allow the animal to express its natural behaviors. The conditions of the painted dogs even violated Mafuniani's stated code of conduct, which claims to keep animal welfare our first priority. These conditions did not only apply to the painted dogs, but to other animals in the zoos as well. None of these zoos were, admittedly, signatory to the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Meanwhile, Tianjin Corporation claimed not to care about the conditions, but was only interested in doing business.
The Chinese zoos, brother, sister, no problem.
No problem.
When they have babies?
No, don't have babies. I don't care about this. Just sell, you know.
You want to produce and sell to China? It's crazy. No.
Why?
No.
Why?
The market is how to say, go down, because many do have this. Why they want to buy again?
Yet the trader was still buying more.
I want to buy against now 6.
How many wild dogs are there in China?
Now?
Yes?
Rising 200.
But it's not only Manus Pretorius who has exported the painted dogs, many of which were proved to have been captured from the wild, according to internal zoo documentation. There are other dealers as well.
What price is 12 dogs and when can you deliver?
I will give you the price, one animal. The price is $2,500, transport included, delivered in Kuala Lumpur. I send dogs all over the world. I send dogs, giraffe, elephant, lion, doesn't matter.
Another dealer has moved his stock elsewhere.
I moved all my wild dogs. I moved them to another breeder.
But how many wild dogs he has now?
At the moment there is 19. He's selling very fast. Wild dogs
So he wants to sell?
9-10 babies at a time. There's a pair now that we want to sell.
I just need documents that they are captive with.
Yeah, okay.
F2, the second generation.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, so 4 jaar. 4 jaar en jonger.
Yet another dealer had painted dogs for sale on site. A major South African trader claimed to have sent hundreds of painted dogs overseas.
I've exported more than 200. It's so simple. I mean, I export lots of dogs. I've taken more than 100 to China in the years. All the big parks in China have got lots of dogs now.
The dealer tried to sell a painted dog with wild parentage to a European zoo in Czechoslovakia.
I mean, in fact, sending some dogs to Czechoslovakia from the Volt to the zoo there. That the zoo is DVUR. DVUR.
Kromova.
Yeah, they're a member of the World Zoo Association. They just want males. They've got females. They want new bloodlines.
Oh, engineer curator.
Oh, curator.
Yeah. It's a little bit difficult to breed, but to keep it's not difficult.
So I think it's easy to import.
Yes, it's no problem. Now we will plan to import new male from Africa because our animals are related.
You know, this was with Czechoslovakia. We had a very interesting situation. The Czechoslovakian people said they wanted one. I offered them the 2 males. I offered them from the Volt, and the stable keeper said nothing from the Volt. So I challenged them. And they came back and said, well, I send them the details. I sent them the details. It was from a wild-caught male. Because it was a wild-caught male, it's better for them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, your first book one.
Yes, exactly. And then they said, okay, now we can send them.
How much is it?
I think it's priced several thousand euros together with. It's very expensive, but we need urgently new blood. New blood we need urgently.
But the second generation is cheaper, I suppose.
Of course. Now his babies are almost around 500 babies. We sent this year 2 babies to one private garden in South America.
The deal for the male with wild parentage was cancelled after questioning by the European Parliament. However, the dealer continued to sell painted dogs.
I took to the Bronx Zoo last year in America. We took 2 females and 4 males. I've got 17 puppies already. I took to Denver Zoo in the States. I took 4 animals, 2 males, 2 females. And I've had 23 babies in 2 years. Wild dogs going to Pittsburgh Zoo. You can see there are 4 dogs going to Pittsburgh. 3.2, 5 going to Pittsburgh. The dogs aren't even CITES. It's not even CITES. It's not even CITES 3. Wild dogs are nothing. I get a permit in 1 week here.
Such zoos, like those this dealer sold to in the US, are members of the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums. These zoos are signatory to its code of ethics, which states, "It is recognized that from time to time there is a legitimate need for conservation breeding programs, education programs, or basic biological studies to obtain animals from the wild. Members must be confident that such acquisitions will not have a deleterious effect upon the wild population." Wim Verbergmuis is the European breeding coordinator for wild dogs. Every European zoo that wants to breed dogs must seek his permission. He has seen the conditions of the Chinese zoos and claims that the wild populations should not be touched.
Wat ik gezien heb in de rapportage, ja, daar zou ik mijn dieren niet naartoe sturen.
Waarom niet?
Omdat ik duidelijk kan zien dat dat gewoon slechte omstandigheden zijn, kleine verblijven, niet goed genoeg afgeschermd van de bezoekers. Kennelijk kunnen mensen stenen gooien of naar de dieren pesten. Ja, dat vind ik ook al niks. Die populatie wilde honden staat in de natuur ontzettend in druk en daar moeten gewoon geen dieren aan.
Je mag dus nooit een dier uit het wild in dat commerciële circuit belanden.
Nee, dat al helemaal niet. Dat kan gewoon niet. Dat mag niet en dat zou ook niet moeten.
Greg Rasmussen claims that the trafficking in painted dogs is in fact seriously hurting the viability of the wild population.
When there are dealers involved, when there's a trade, dogs have got to come out of the wild in order to feed that trade. Dogs in the wild can't take that kind of punishment. We know, for example, that there's at least 200 dogs in China. Well, that actually represents 10% of the population in the wild. With that kind of trade, it's just got to stop, and the dogs have got to go into CITES.
The official protector of such a highly endangered animal as the painted dog is supposed to be CITES. CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, is an international agreement between governments. Its goal is to ensure that international trade in specimens of wild animals and plants does not threaten their survival. But the painted dog is not listed on CITES, and the IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, also does not list the animal as being commercially traded, contrary to what we have seen in this report.
If they come from the wild, if they're actually wild animals or first-generation offspring, I think they should be returned to the wild. They should not be sent to zoos. The IUCN should be able to see the point that the trade in captive animals is creating a financial incentive for people to remove animals from the wild, even if they're not selling the animals directly from the wild, and sometimes it seems they are, but even if they're not, the trade creates an incentive to remove them from the wild so that their offspring can then be sold as captive. It's up to us to decide whether we consider the first generation to be bred in captivity as still wild because their parents were wild, or whether we consider them as captive. We should look at the point of distinguishing between captive and wild populations. And if the point is that we want to prohibit trade that has an adverse impact on the wild population, then clearly we want to prohibit trade in the first generation offspring, because that just creates an incentive to take the parents out of the wild so that you can breed from them, and then you can call them captive, and then you can trade with them. It seems clear that the African wild dogs are being taken from the wild, and since the wild population is very small, this is obviously contributing to endangering the species, and that surely is the crucial point that we should consider as to whether they should be listed on CITES or not.
Bart Staes, a leading member of the European Parliament, got the full Parliament behind a resolution that there was significant trade in African painted dogs affecting the population in the wild, and that the dogs should be listed immediately on CITES.
Ja, deze getuigenis is treffend. Er is blijkbaar een staat van ontkenning in de Europese Unie en bij de Europese Commissie en bij heel wat verantwoordelijken een staat van ontkenning dat er een erg grote handel is in Afrikaanse wilde honden. Deze getuigenis zegt het heel duidelijk. Er zijn meer dan wilde honden genoeg in China, dus de handel is zeer intens geweest de voorbije jaren. De man zegt het zelf, je hebt al een televisie, ga je er nog eentje bij kopen, nog eentje bij. De markt is gewoon vol en de prijzen dalen. Dit is het bewijs dat de handel in wilde honden uit Afrika enorm is geweest. En we lopen dus een beetje achter de feiten aan. Reden te meer om nu echt een halt toe te roepen aan wat er gebeurt.
The international trade certainly is affecting the wild population, and that should be enough reason for the European Commission to listen to the resolution of Parliament and move ahead to list the African wild dog on CITES. Clearly the trade is an unethical one, whatever the law might say about this, and I would argue that the law needs to be changed.